Let's play a game. You have $100,000. Do you A. Buy a house, B. Invest in stocks, or C. Blow it all on a mummified fairy and a taxidermied frog playing the banjo? If you picked C, congrats. You're exactly the kind of person keeping the world's weirdest auctions alive. Today, we're diving into the most insane things people have spent ridiculous money on. Cursed dolls, prehistoric poop, and even an invisible sculpture. Yes, someone paid thousands for literally nothing. By the end of this video, you'll either be laughing, questioning reality, or, let's be honest, rethinking your entire financial decisions. Let's get into it. 1. $28,000 for a grilled cheese sandwich with the Virgin Mary's face. Because nothing screams divine miracle like dairy on carbs. Honestly, my sandwiches barely survive lunch without falling apart, and this one's chilling for 10 years like a holy relic. For that price, it better grant wishes or at least not taste like cardboard regret. 2. Elvis Presley's hair sold for $115,000, six figures for dead follicles. What's the move here? Clone Elvis? Make a wig and hope for a comeback tour? Somewhere, a barber's kicking himself for not hoarding celebrity hair instead of sweeping it into the trash. 3. $1,350 for a cornflake shaped like Illinois. Not gold, not a masterpiece, just a lonely flake of cereal. Imagine waking up every morning thinking, I could have bought a new TV, but nah, I went with the crunchy map of the Midwest. At least if you go broke, breakfast covered. 4. $442,500 for a moon rock. Cool, but it's literally just space gravel. Imagine your friend says, I bought a new car, and you're like, neat, I got this pebble from the moon. Even the moon's probably side-eyeing you like, really, dude? 5. Scarlett Johansson's used tissue sold for $5,300. Celebrity snot. Congrats, you own mucus. Somewhere, someone's proudly showing it off like, yeah, ScarJo sneezed in this, while their friends wonder how to escape the conversation without gagging. Modern art? Or modern what the hell? 6. A 19th century vampire hunting kit sold for $16,000. It came with a wooden stake, holy water, and some old silver bullets, because apparently the buyer was either super paranoid or just really into collecting old-school monster prevention tools. Either way, I hope they're sleeping soundly knowing their anti-vampire security deposit is intact. 7. Someone bought a ghost for $50,000. And not like a famous one, just some random Civil War guy. Imagine the seller thinking, I just sold nothing for 50 grand. Meanwhile, the buyer's still waiting for spooky 3 a.m. footsteps. Joke's on them. They just financed disappointment. 8. $31,000 for John Lennon's tooth. A tooth. Not his guitar or lyrics, just old dental debris. Honestly, if anyone wants my wisdom teeth, they're up for grabs. Slightly used, no rock legend attached, but I'll throw in free shipping. 9. Nothing says good investment like spending $25,000 on an exorcist's toolkit. That's what one brave or incredibly paranoid soul did when they successfully outbid everyone for a case full of crucifixes, vials of holy water, and handwritten prayers. If demons aren't real, this is the worst purchase ever. If they are, well, smart move. 10. $2,500 for a childhood doodle by Donald Trump. It's literally the same crayon scribble every bored kid makes. Somewhere, a mom just threw away her kid's drawing thinking it's junk. Sorry, kid, that stick figure could have paid off my student loans. 11. A single piece of spaghetti, encased in resin, sold for $700. It was one lonely, preserved noodle that a collector decided was worthy of an entire bidding war. Somewhere, an Italian grandma is weeping for humanity. 12. An actual Brussels sprout from Kate and William's wedding dinner sold for $500. A single, green, vegetable. Someone literally paid more than an iPhone for a royal leftover. Imagine flexing that at dinner parties. Oh, you have fine wine? Cute. I have this shriveled sprout that a prince might have glanced at once. 13. It wasn't gold. It wasn't diamond encrusted, but someone still spent $4,700 on a single vintage bar of soap. That's right, soap. Over a century old. You know what happens to 100-year-old soap? It turns into a rock. Imagine explaining to your spouse, I spent $5 grand on a bar of soap we can never use. 14. A 400-year-old piece of shipwrecked cheese sold for $200. Aged cheese is one thing, but this stuff had been sitting at the bottom of the ocean for centuries, and someone thought, this belongs on my shelf. I just hope they didn't try to eat it. 15. Somebody spent $15,000 on a piece of bubblegum chewed by Britney Spears. Bubblegum. Already chewed. I can't decide what's worse, the price or the thought of someone staring lovingly at a dried-up wad of gum in a glass case, whispering, "It's Britney, Beck." 16. A used coffin, yes, used, sold for $4,800. Not a new one, not a fancy one, just a coffin that had been previously occupied. The original owner had been removed, don't ask how. And for some reason, someone else thought, ah yes, a second-hand grave box, perfect for my needs. 17. An original Monopoly game from the 1930s sold for $146,500. The irony? This game was originally created to teach people about the dangers of capitalism, and now it's literally an overpriced collectible that only the rich can afford. If Monopoly Guy were real, he'd be laughing his monocled face off. 18. Someone spent $10,000 on a piece of the Berlin Wall that turned out to be fake. Not only did they buy a rock, they bought a fraudulent rock. Imagine dropping 10 grand and realizing you now own a chunk of someone's backyard. That's not just a bad investment, that's a villain origin story. 19. A toothpick used by Charlie Chaplin sold for $7,500. A toothpick? Used. By a man who died in 1977. Like, how do you even authenticate that? Is there a certificate that says, yes, Chaplin totally poked his teeth with this exact splinter of wood? For that price, it better come with DNA and a silent film cameo. 20. A bidding war once broke out over a pair of 19th century prosthetic glass eyeballs. The final price? $7,000. They weren't famous. They weren't even rare. Just two unsettling glass orbs that someone now proudly owns for reasons I'll never understand. 21. Someone paid $8,000 for a jar of dirt from the spot where Marilyn Monroe was buried. Dirt. Literal ground. Congratulations, you now own a handful of what every cemetery has for free. Imagine explaining this to your therapist. I don't have attachment issues, but I did spend my savings on celebrity grave soil. Totally normal. 22. $2,000 for a bottle of water from Mount Everest. Not some magical elixir, just water. It won't make you stronger, won't help you breathe at high altitudes, and definitely won't give you the endurance of a Sherpa. It's just water. But I guess the moment you take a sip, you faintly hear, "Let it go," in the distance. 23. $2.6 million for a house shaped like a giant shoe. A house shaped like a shoe. It wasn't historical, it wasn't a cultural landmark. It was a shoe. Imagine explaining to your friends that you live in a building that looks like something out of a nursery rhyme. Yeah, it's kind of like the 21st century version of a fairy tale, just way more expensive. 24. $5,000 for the right to name someone's baby. Yep, you heard that right. People actually sold the right to choose their baby's name for cash. Imagine giving someone that kind of power. I mean, oh, we named him after your childhood dog. Thanks for the check. 25. Someone spent $500,000 on an empty bottle that might have been used by Napoleon Bonaparte. Not the contents, not the bottle's historical significance. Just the idea that this bottle was once near a powerful figure. Imagine the excitement. This is a bottle. It was possibly touched by greatness. 26. A fully preserved woolly mammoth leg was sold at auction for $100,000. That's right, just the leg. No head, no body, just a giant prehistoric foot. Somewhere out there, a collector is staring at their $100K mammoth leg, wondering why they didn't just buy a Ferrari. 27. The tooth of a prehistoric megalodon shark once sold for $99,000. To be fair, it's a cool piece of history, but for that price, you could buy an actual boat to escape from a modern shark. 28. Someone paid $12 million for a violin that once belonged to Paganini. Not the sound, not the performance. Just the violin that touched the strings of a legendary artist. If this is what an instrument is worth, then I'm about to sell my old guitar and call it an underappreciated masterpiece. 29. $13,000 for a pair of Queen Victoria's underwear. And not the sexy kind, old lady bloomers. Imagine going bankrupt because you couldn't resist bidding on antique royal panties. Honestly, at that point, just tell your family you lost your fortune in a tragic accident. It's less embarrassing. 30. In an auction of things that should not be for sale, someone bought an actual human kidney stone for $5,500. Imagine dropping thousands of dollars to own a literal chunk of someone's body that was so painful, they had to have it removed. This is medical horror meets fine art. 31. Someone dropped $1.2 million on a solid gold toilet. No, this isn't a joke. Someone thought, what if I spent my life savings on a toilet that is just made of gold? It's not practical, it's not even comfortable, just a glorified throne. But hey, I guess if you're gonna sit, might as well sit in style. 32. $50,000 for an old Soviet space toilet. NASA didn't need it, Russia didn't want it, so naturally some rich guy thought, yeah, I need that in my house. At least you can say your bathroom has literally been to space, which is more than most of us can claim. 33. $7,500 on a single, non-functioning light bulb from a TV show's set. Not even a bulb that worked, just one that sat there in the background. It probably never even lit up anyone's day. At this rate, I'm thinking of auctioning off my old batteries. They might have powered something iconic. 34. A fan spent $40,000 on a toilet seat from John Lennon's house. A toilet seat. Not signed, not decorated. Just where Lennon did his business. Imagine explaining to your family that their inheritance is now a piece of wood some rock star sat on while thinking deep thoughts, probably. 35. You think you've wasted money before? Someone once spent $8,000 on a fake medieval torture device. It wasn't even an actual historical artifact, just a prop from a movie. Imagine dropping that kind of cash to own a scary-looking paperweight. 36. $20 million for a meteorite that allegedly came from Mars. Yes, a chunk of rock from space was sold for the price of a mansion. You could buy a lot of things with that kind of money, but for someone, a space rock was the ultimate prize. Too bad it doesn't come with instructions on how to harness its otherworldly powers. 37. $6,000 for a peanut that was signed by former US President Jimmy Carter. I don't even know what's more absurd. The fact that a peanut was signed by a president, or that someone bought it. If world leaders start signing random groceries, I'm selling my Putin-approved potato for $500,000. 38. A rare vinyl record sold for $30 million. It wasn't signed by anyone. It wasn't part of a historic album. It was just a really old record that someone believed would be the next big thing in collectible music. If this is the market now, I'll be selling my old mixtapes as vintage classics any day. 39. A jar of pickles from the 1800s sold for $4,500. 150-year-old pickles. Not edible. Not special. Just pickles that have been sitting in a jar for longer than some countries have existed. If this is valuable now, I need to start hoarding my fridge leftovers. 40. $3,500 for a medieval chastity belt. Not a replica. An actual rusty 500-year-old medieval metal contraption that was designed to prevent fun. Imagine explaining to your bank that you need a loan because you had to own history's most uncomfortable pair of underwear. 41. $25,000 for a plot of land on Mars. And no, it wasn't some real estate deal. It was literally just a piece of land on a planet that doesn't even have working real estate laws. But hey, if someone wants to spend their money on space property, more power to them. I'm selling Mars water next. 42. Someone spent $7,500 on a lump of coal from the Titanic. Look, I get it, the Titanic is iconic, but you just bought the same stuff you can find in a BBQ grill. Imagine gathering your friends to say, "Want to see my historic artifact?" And it's a rock that could cook hot dogs. 43. $9,000 for a single unwashed sock worn by Michael Jackson. Yeah, a sock. One. Not even the pair. Imagine paying thousands for a sweaty tube of fabric and realizing it smells like regret. Somewhere, a laundromat worker is weeping at all the missed opportunities. 44. Someone paid $10,000 for a cloud that looks like a dragon. Not an actual dragon, just a cloud that, if you squint hard enough, kind of looks like one. At that point, I'm starting to believe that if I squint at my toaster long enough, I can sell it as a celestial object. 45. $3.2 million for a parking spot in Manhattan. Not a house, not an apartment, just a place to put your car. For that price, you could buy 50 cars, but nope. Better to just not park them anywhere. Congrats. You now own the world's most expensive rectangle of concrete. 46. $5,500 for a bag of sand collected from a famous desert. Just sand. It's not special sand. It hasn't done anything important, it's just some granules. But someone thought this was worth more than most people's car payments. What do you do with it? Put it in a jar and admire its emptiness? 47. $1.8 million for a signed football that was never used in a game. Not a Super Bowl ball. Not a game-winning touchdown pass. Just a ball. Pristine. Untouched by any field. This is like buying a lottery ticket, knowing it already lost and framing it anyway. 48. $120,000 for a banana taped to a wall. Not a golden banana, not a piece of rare fruit. Just a banana stuck to a wall with duct tape. It's art, they say. Sure, if your idea of art is a $120,000 snack. At this point, I'm thinking of selling my leftover pizza crusts as postmodern food art. 49. $10,000 for a map painted by an octopus. Not drawn, painted by an actual octopus. If that's the kind of art we're calling masterpieces now, I'm seriously considering auctioning off my cat's paw prints as the next big thing in modern art. 50. Someone spent $15,000 on a taxidermied shark dressed in a Hawaiian shirt, because apparently we needed to make sharks even more terrifying. Who needs an actual pet when you can have a dead fish in a Hawaiian shirt staring at you from the living room? It's the most relaxing nightmare you'll ever have. 51. A single strand of woolly mammoth hair sold for $12,000. That's right, some prehistoric dead hair went for the price of a new motorcycle. No cloning possibilities, no DNA extraction, just a fuzzy reminder that someone, somewhere, has a very weird collection in their basement. 52. In an undisputed victory for questionable spending, someone bought an entire decommissioned aircraft carrier. That's right, a retired military vessel the size of a floating city. No weapons, no jets, just a giant rusting reminder of one person's very expensive midlife crisis. 53. Someone shelled out $25,000 for a dinosaur poop fossil. Yes, fossilized dino crap. Imagine dropping a year's salary just to own prehistoric feces. And you know they're telling their friends, this? Oh, it's dinosaur poop. Pretty cool, huh? Sure, Greg. You spent 25 grand on million-year-old turds. Totally cool. 54. If you think your home decor is bad, imagine dropping $32,000 on a taxidermy two-headed calf. The worst part? The second head wasn't fully developed, so it just kind of sat there, a creepy shrunken twin haunting your living room. 55. $10,000 for a potato that looks like Kim Kardashian's butt. Yes, a potato. Not golden, not rare, just shaped like, well, you know. I can't decide what's more bizarre, the person who bought it, or the person who stared at a potato long enough to say, wait, is that Kim K? 56. $200 for a raccoon in a jar. Yes, it was a dead raccoon sealed in a jar. A real one. This isn't some quirky taxidermy, just a jarred animal. If this is the market now, I've got some old socks that have been worn by a ghost. I can start selling for a pretty penny. 57. $13,000 for a piece of the Hollywood sign that fell off during repairs. Cool? Yes? Worth $13K? Well, if staring at a rusty piece of metal while explaining to guests, it's from that sign behind Leonardo DiCaprio once. Is your thing, go for it. 58. $10,000 was spent on a piece of floorboard from the Titanic. Sure, it's history, but a floorboard? Imagine telling someone, yeah, I have a part of history on, but it's mostly dust now. I'd be more impressed if you found an actual skeleton under the floorboards. 59. Ever felt paranoid? Someone did. $30,000 worth of paranoid. That's how much they dropped on a fully stocked Cold War-era nuclear fallout shelter kit. It came with a Geiger counter, canned food from the 1960s, and the unshakable knowledge that they wasted a small fortune on vintage apocalypse gear. 60. Someone dropped $200 on a jar of New Jersey air. Just air from New Jersey. Not even from a famous event. Just air. If you're paying for that, I've got some premium oxygen from my living room for sale. Smells like disappointment and yesterday's pizza. Bidding starts now. 61. $15 million for a complete set of dinosaur bones, but they weren't from a famous species. No T-Rex here, just a regular old dinosaur with a fancy price tag. I'm starting to think my old action figures could be collectibles if I put the right spin on them. This toy, yeah, it might have been inspired by a forgotten dinosaur species. 62. For $15,000, someone purchased a tire that could have been used in the Fast and Furious movies. No actual proof, just the idea. So now, I guess we all need to start selling car parts that might have been in Hollywood's biggest blockbusters. Can't hurt, right? 63. Ever wanted a piece of history? Someone spent $3,500 on a single chewed-up pencil from the set of Harry Potter. Yeah, a pencil. That was chewed. It wasn't even used to write. Who's going to tell them that chewing a pencil doesn't exactly scream wizardry? I guess any old junk can become a treasure if you add a magic word. 64. $8,500 for a taxidermied frog playing the banjo. Because why own a normal dead frog when you can own a banjo-playing one? Honestly, at this point, taxidermists are just making up hobbies for animals. I'm waiting for a hamster doing taxes piece to hit the market. 65. A single sheet of toilet paper from the 1940s was auctioned for $1,500. Not signed, not rare, just old toilet paper. And before you ask, no, it had never been used. But at this price, it definitely ruined someone's financial future. 66. $6,000 for a brick from a building that might have been part of the Great Wall of China. Might have. So you're basically paying for a maybe. It's the historical equivalent of buying a vintage sweater at a thrift store and hoping it belonged to your favorite historical figure. Who knows? Maybe. 67. A whopping $11,000 was exchanged for a used coffee cup from a set of friends. Just a plain cup with lipstick smudges and coffee stains. At that point, you didn't buy history. You bought evidence someone forgot to do the dishes. Enjoy your overpriced mugshot. 68. A fan spent $7,000 on a cursed tree. You know, the kind of tree that's haunted or magically bad. Just a regular tree, but with a history that might involve some bad luck. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if I can sell my haunted laundry basket. It might bring some spooky vibes to your home. 69. A bidding war broke out over something no one should ever want. A fully preserved, 150-year-old human hand in a jar. At $92,200, one lucky winner got to take home a floating, wrinkled, possibly cursed reminder that people have zero chill when it comes to collectibles. 70. $3,200 disappeared from someone's wallet for a partially melted snowball from a Yankees game. It's just water now. Regular water. Congrats, you bought nature in its most basic form. Hope you're ready to explain to future generations why you spent a month's rent on a tiny puddle. 71. The bidding war was intense. The tension? Unmatched. And in the end, someone happily walked away with a petrified whale vomit for $40,000. Yes, you read that right. Ambergris, a waxy substance from sperm whale intestines, is used in perfumes. But let's be real. Someone paid a college tuition for a lump of crusty ocean puke. 72. $28,000 for a glass bottle of genuine Loch Ness water. Someone saw lake water and said, yes, I need that in my life. It's just water. It doesn't summon Nessie. It doesn't give you superpowers. It just sits there, looking expensive. 73. $5,000 for a cursed doll that allegedly moves on its own. So basically, you just paid $5,000 for sleep paralysis. The best part? The buyer actually keeps it in a glass case like it's a zoo exhibit. Can't wait for the inevitable sequel to Annabelle. 74. A fan handed over $8,000 for a pair of toenail clippings from a Backstreet Boys member. Not a signed album, not a concert ticket, nail clippings. Somewhere out there, a pedicurist is regretting every toenail they've ever thrown away. 75. A man legally sold his soul. He listed it for $2,300, describing it as a one-time offer and slightly used. Auction eventually took the listing down, proving that yes, you can sell a grilled cheese for $28,000, but your immortal essence? Too far. 76. $35,000 for a taxidermied bull's scrotum turned into a handbag. Someone paid Tesla money to carry their keys in a cow's former dignity. I don't even know what's worse, the price, the concept, or the fact that someone is proudly walking around with this thing. 77. There are normal people and then there are the elite few who spend $2,500 on a decorative Victorian-era mustache protector. That's right, a tiny metal shield designed to clip onto a teacup so gentlemen wouldn't get their facial hair wet while sipping tea. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to afford a haircut. 78. $2,700 disappeared for a jar of pickles from Snooki's fridge. Not special pickles, just pickles. If I'd known fridge leftovers were this valuable, I wouldn't have thrown out that expired mayo last week. Missed gold mine. 79. Someone paid $2,500 for a taxidermied rat in a tuxedo. It's not just any rat, it's a rat with style. Imagine bringing that home and trying to explain to your roommates, "No, this isn't a Halloween decoration. This rat has impeccable taste, all right?" 80. A company once auctioned a plot of land in the middle of the ocean, where no land exists. It was legally called a conceptual island. Someone actually paid $15,000 for ownership rights to literal water. It's unclear if they ever tried to visit their property by boat. 81. An unassembled IKEA chair sold for $65,000 because it was a rare collectible. A chair that no one ever sat in. That wasn't even built. IKEA furniture is already a nightmare to assemble. Imagine paying tens of thousands for something that still comes with an Allen wrench. 82. A gummy bear the size of a watermelon was auctioned for $8,900. It weighed over 26 pounds, was almost impossible to eat, and would definitely send you into a diabetic coma. Someone really thought, I need this in my life. And now it's probably sitting in a glass case, haunting their decisions. 83. In what might be the weirdest flex of all time, a random bidder walked away with a 15-foot-long preserved tapeworm in a glass case. Imagine the bragging rights. Hey, want to see my collection? And then, bam, intestinal horror on display. Makes your Funko Pops look pretty weak, huh? 84. Someone out there is $250,000 poorer because they bought a single baseball, signed by Fidel Castro. Yep. The communist leader known for rejecting capitalism accidentally became the face of one of the most expensive sports collectibles ever. 85. Deep in the depths of human curiosity, or stupidity, someone decided to purchase a snow globe filled with actual volcanic ash. The catch? You couldn't shake it because, if you did, the ash would clog the water. Congratulations! You just bought a very expensive jar of sediment. 86. $125,000 for a letter written by a passenger on the Hindenburg before it exploded. This is both insane and horrifying. The letter literally survived a massive disaster and somehow ended up in someone's private collection. Meanwhile, my texts barely survive a day before I regret sending them. 87. Someone once paid $35,000 for a single pigeon. It wasn't a rare breed. It wasn't a racing pigeon. It was just a bird. Meanwhile, millions of pigeons are out there working for free, dodging cars and stealing fries from tourists. 88. A 405-million-year-old trilobite fossil sold for $1.5 million. It's a prehistoric bug. That's all it is. Just an ancient sea roach that someone paid more than a mansion for. I'm starting to think my childhood rock collection was a missed financial opportunity. 89. In one of the strangest sales in history, a man successfully auctioned off the meaning of life for $3,000. No joke. He literally wrote down his personal interpretation of life's purpose, put it up for sale, and someone actually bought it. Imagine paying that much just to open an envelope that says, "Be nice and drink water." 90. $2,000 disappeared for a single Lego brick from the set of the Lego Movie. One tiny brick, not even a unique one. If that's worth $2,000, My childhood toy bin was basically a lost treasure chest. Too bad it's now somewhere between sold at a garage sale and lost forever. 91. $68,000 for a ceremonial Viking beard comb. You heard me? A used comb, once dragged through the tangled, sweaty beard of a 9th century warrior. You know what else combs hair and costs less than a kidney? A plastic one from the dollar store. 92. $9,500 for a dried-up cactus that might have been the inspiration for a famous Western movie. No proof, just the idea that it could have been part of the inspiration. I've got a bunch of random rocks I found in my yard that might have been the inspiration for abstract art. Bidding starts now. 93. A person really saw a jar of Brad Pitt's farts. Yes, that's what the listing claimed. And said, $5,000, take my money. The worst part? No refund when they realized it's just empty air. Well, expensive, invisible disappointment is still on brand, I guess. 94. Someone spent $3,500 on a broken pencil sharpener used by Spielberg on set. It didn't even work. Imagine shelling out that much for a tool that could have sharpened someone's pencil but didn't. If I sold my worn-out kitchen utensils, I'd probably be able to retire at 30. 95. $7,800 for the first piece of chalk ever used in a classroom. It was literally just a chalk stick with sentimental value. If we're auctioning this stuff now, I'm considering selling the first eraser I ever used. It's definitely seen some history. 96. Somewhere, a rich person looked at their walls and thought, you know what I need? A single taxidermied tarantula playing a miniature violin. That's why this 8-legged masterpiece sold for $3,700. It doesn't move. It doesn't make sound. It's just a dead spider with a tiny, useless instrument. 97. Proving that humanity has lost control. Someone dropped $14,000 on a rock that supposedly killed a man. Yep, a random stone, allegedly responsible for someone's untimely demise over 100 years ago. You could buy a Rolex for that price. Or, apparently, a murder weapon. 98. Someone once purchased a fully mummified fairy. Okay, not a real fairy, but a tiny winged, human-shaped taxidermy creature made to look like it had been preserved for centuries. The price? $7,500. Somewhere, a former child is realizing they should have kept their dried-up Halloween decorations. 99. A fan spent $8,500 on a piece of an old Victorian wallpaper. Just wallpaper. It's not an antique treasure, just a scrap of paper that's been hanging in a museum for years. Imagine framing this thing and saying, this is from a mansion, totally authentic. Meanwhile, I'm over here with old posters from my childhood, still waiting for their time to shine. 100. $5,500 for an antique medical leech jar. It's an old glass jar that once held literal blood-sucking parasites. Imagine explaining to your guests, oh, that's where 19th century doctors kept their disgusting little bloodsuckers. Dinner, anyone? 101. A man successfully sold an invisible sculpture for $18,300. It wasn't behind glass. It wasn't hidden. It literally did not exist. The buyer was given a certificate of authenticity and told they had to display it in a 5x5-foot empty space. So, yes, someone bought nothing and paid thousands for the privilege. All right, now it's your turn. What's the dumbest thing you've ever spent money on? Drop it in the comments, and let's see who wins the I Regret Everything award. Oh, and if you enjoyed watching rich people make terrible decisions, hit like and subscribe. Who knows, maybe one day we'll be bidding on your old socks. See you in the next one.